You're listening to Excess Gaming Podcast, a podcast for gamers by gamers, with your hosts Xander Skullion and James Gruesome, bringing you something old, something new, and a little bit of nostalgia too.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whichever time you guys are checking us out, and welcome to another episode of Excess Gaming Podcast. We're recording this on the 12th of June, 2016. I'm one of your hosts, Xander Skullion, and joined with me is my wonderful co-host, the crimson-bearded N64 collecting Mr. James Gruesome. What's up, James?
Oh, I like that. That was pretty cool. The sun, the bright, hot, burning sun is in the air. All the children are out of school, and I don't think anybody's out screaming outside yet, so that's good. And yeah, everything's going pretty good, except for a few adult things in life. I had to get the house pressure washed. I broke the stove, and just typical stuff like that. If you can avoid growing up, everybody, do it. If you got a parent's basement, you can stay in, because isn't that a big criticism of all gamers and stuff for people in their parents? But stay in the basement if you can. It's probably a good idea. But I hope everyone is doing well on this wonderful Sunday, like you said, morning, evening, or night, or whatever day you're actually listening to this on.
Yeah, definitely. And, we didn't get to record last week. I was a little bit under the weather, and I knew I had a really tough week ahead of me. I'm back out of town working, and so that's been a lot of fun. But, we do have something really special coming on this week coming up, and that is E3. And that's one of the subjects we're going to be talking about this episode. We're going to be talking about some of our E3 talk. We also have some subjects submitted by the listeners via Excess Gaming Podcast Facebook group page, which you guys can join with the description below to this episode. We also have games we've been playing recently, and just a bunch of other random stuff we're going to be talking about. So let's start with, it's the day before E3. I feel like I want to do like, Nightmare, or not Nightmare, but Night Before Christmas, I feel like I want to do something like that. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely like the Christmas Eve of gamers. This is when we start to really think about what we want to spend our money on. E3 comes up, and then you got Tokyo Game Show, and then, the holidays are right around the corner. And I don't know about you, James, but this E3, I'm excited, as always, but last year's E3, man, was like God tier. I don't know how this E3 is going to live up to that hype.
It's always tough, each year you wonder, like, will it live up? Will it be something exciting? I'm always kind of going through it, like, I'm always curious to hear what's happening, and I usually catch little snippets. I usually don't watch much on it. I like to get some info, like from you. Lots of times I'll get more, and it's just going to be interesting. And I'm probably going to see like a lot of games that like I'm not going to be able to play. I think that's part of the reason for me, because I haven't gone to a new system yet. It's like, man, I wonder how much I'm going to see. Like, I'll see a game, and it's like I'm still hanging on that. Like, is it coming out for PS3 and 360 too? So at least they still have some good support. So I'm not completely in the dark. But on the plus side, I get to see all the things that will encourage me to get a new system. And if something's coming out next year around Christmas or whatever, that gives me a chance to save up, hopefully, if I don't have to pressure wash the house or get a new stove again in the time being, because that would have nicely paid for a new system. But yeah, it's still always cool. I'm looking forward to everything. Always curious about Nintendo. I know there's not supposed to be any NX stuff, which is just, I don't know. I don't really get that, but hey, I don't run that company, so I'm still looking forward to seeing the things that they come out, because that's just I think I'm always going to look forward, no matter what people say about Nintendo. It's just something from our childhood that we still latch onto and still appreciate, and they still have great stuff. So that's going to be a highlight for me to see what they have.
Yeah, definitely. Now the interesting thing about Nintendo is, like you said, you mentioned, they're not really doing too much with E3 per se. Most of them are going to be showing off, the brand new Zelda game, and that's really exciting. I'm still hoping that Legend of Zelda, the new one, is going to be a dual release at this point. I'm hoping that it does come out for the Wii U and the NX. I mean, if I had to choose between the two, I would rather it just, be the last game for the Wii U and be its swan song. Because I don't want it to be just an NX exclusive or something like that. That would really just, that would piss me off. That would piss a lot of people off. So that's going to be interesting. Now, not only do we have that, but Nintendo's also talking about doing a direct right after E3. And that's, kind of making me think that maybe we'll hear some more NX talk with that. I'm hoping it's like a little hint. Like I was talking to some friends last night on Skype, and I'm like, what I would love to see is like Reggie be on stage and talk about, the new Zelda and stuff. And at the very end, like something drops out of his pocket and he picks it up and it's like the controller to the NX or something, or like some sort of like NX symbol. And he's like, oh yeah, we're going to be talking about this at the next, quotation marks, next Nintendo Direct. That would just be so freaking awesome. It's a pipeline dream, but I would like something like that. And, you were mentioning about consoles. The big thing that people are wondering about is these upgradable consoles. Of course, the PS4 Neo is, it's been talked about. It's no longer a rumor. It's going to be a thing. We might be seeing that E3 pairing up with the VR that's coming out in October. But also Xbox. Xbox has been, in the rumor mill a little bit as well, that they may be coming out with a more upgradable console, a smaller console, and I've heard that codename was like Xbox Scorpio or something like that. The good thing about this is for people like you, man, who's a later adopter, this may be a great way for you to either, get the older console for a price drop or, get the brand new tech. It's interesting.
That crossed my mind. I was looking at a few things, and Xbox had mentioned how this one was supposed to be really special. They're going to have some really special things coming out, which I'm always curious with them too. I love Sony and Microsoft, and I like them all. I'm not a particular fan. I think they all have something great to offer. And the consoles, like you mentioned, I saw that, and they said how the PS4 is going to be on shelves to sell along with the regular one for the lifespan of the console. I don't know if that means at some point they're going to go ahead and stop. I mean, I guess they always do when they come out with a whether it's a slimmer one like they have in the past. And I was thinking that exactly, that price range. I think they didn't mention anything about price, so they didn't speculating that maybe it would come out. I don't know if it was at $350 or $400 or whatever the system's at now, and then the other one would drop, which is what I'm hoping for. A lot of the connectability to like the 4K TVs, and if it's like, man, I'm still paying for my TV that I got. I've been paying for this thing for a long time, so I'm not getting the new TV. I think the standard one would probably work best with a nice big hard drive, but at least I get that option. I get the choice to see what looks better, what's fitting more for my budget, and what I think is going to be better in the long run. So that is a very good part about waiting around. And then too, you get the bigger glut of games coming out. All the newer ones, stuff that already come out, it's a lot cheaper. But then again too, you don't get to play everything. I've seen a lot of games come out I would have gotten if I'd had a new system. So there's definitely plus and minuses to it, but both of them I could definitely see dropping their new consoles just to give people an idea of what's coming, since it's been mentioned, like we said it is. So what better time to break them out than now?
Yeah, and right now I believe the Xbox One I believe is recently a price drop. It's now $300 for an Xbox One, which is pretty cool. And one thing I'm wondering about Xbox, because the thing about Microsoft is, we've heard about some stuff from Sony. We've heard some rumors with Sony products. We've heard some stuff off and on with Nintendo. Nintendo's always been kind of a rumor mill, but Microsoft has been very quiet. And that's kind of what happened last year with Microsoft. I remember, if I was to go back and listen to our E3 talk from last year, we were all talking about how, I wonder what Microsoft's doing. Because Microsoft doesn't really, talk about too much what's going on. I know I've been kind of wondering what they've been doing, because the last couple of news I've heard from Microsoft hasn't been the best news, with, the folks behind Fable and, Project Spark going down. But one thing I've been hearing about, and I'm hoping this is true, and if this does come out, this will make me get an Xbox One, and that is a brand new Battletoads. I would love that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make me go out and get an Xbox One, because I mean, it's funny. I've wanted to have an Xbox One, but there's been a couple of games like I think it's Ori. It's like this indie title.
The Blind Forest.
Yeah, I've been wanting to play that. I've been wanting to play the Teacup, the Cup Party, the shooter that came out. That game, I've been wanting to play that, and Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, that's one I've been curious too, and I imagine that's probably like $20 or comes with the system now. And
yeah,
definitely have a fair share of exclusives like they always had that just really seem good. I mean, the price point is definitely getting a lot better, but maybe they will. Like I said, something like a Battletoads. It's that certain game for some people that will just set them over, and man, everybody would love for that to come back. That's just because was that on the Rare? The fact they had the Rare replay, I think, is really super cool too. And I want to say that did they have an arcade Battletoads?
It did. It was like it was the first like home console version of the Battletoads arcade port. It's very like Battletoads arcade's very different than what we play on the NES. It's very different.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't think I ever played that. I don't. It's possible, but seems like I would have remembered that. Like that would have been really cool back then, because it was in that wave of course, it spawned from Ninja Turtles, and Ninja Turtles arcade so great. So I'm pretty sure if a Battletoads one had been out around here, I would have remembered it. But one day, I tell you, if I get an Xbox One ever, that's probably gonna be the first damn disc I buy, is that EA replay.
Oh yeah, that's like a must.
Or Rare. What I say, EA replay, Rare replay.
Well, speaking of EA, now we're going to talk about some other companies. They're going to be at E3 as well, because we talked about Sony, we talked about Microsoft and Nintendo, but of course you have EA, which, like it or not, I know some people cannot stand EA, and rightfully so. They've done some really shady things, especially with their employees in the past. But EA, it looks like they're going to be having a huge conference this E3, because we're going to be hearing more about their Star Wars games, with like rumors of like Battlefront VR, maybe a new Battlefront game. Also, the brand new Battlefield 1, which is the World War I spinoff game. New Mass Effect as well. And I'm curious. I'm very curious about what EA is going to be doing with Star Wars, especially with the rumors of 1313 finally coming out, which was the Boba Fett action adventure game. They've been hinting at that. I know the companies that were behind the Uncharted series. I believe the director, when she was in Naughty Dog, she was the director of Uncharted, and now she's working on this. And she's also worked on games like Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. I would really love it if this came true and we had a Boba Fett adventure game. It wouldn't be the first. We had Bounty Hunter for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube, but it'd be great to see it on a brand new generation.
Yeah, I didn't know they were still planning on doing anything with that. That's actually really cool, because that was one you kept hearing about, and then just like, no, like it's done. But it's always, I think it's been a while since we had a wave of Star Wars games. It definitely seemed during the PS2, Xbox era, when we had the first Battlefronts, and man, there was all the Rogue Squadrons and lots of the flying ones, power battles, I guess things that do with a lot of the movies. And now that we had the movies again, guaranteed you're going to get a big string of games. And I wouldn't mind seeing like a bit fewer games, but better. Because I think a lot of those games were rather lackluster. You had your standouts, the Knights of the Old Republic that so many people love. Sometimes it's the side things that are a little bit better. When you actually get the straight ones based on the movies, they're the ones that fall, just a little flat. And, to me, the Lego is still the greatest, Star Wars trilogy, or however many there are, the 6 of them. That was just the greatest one, especially related to the original trilogy. And I don't know if that's good or bad when Lego is the one that has the best game. And I'm really looking forward to the new one, though. The Force Awakens Lego game. That it's going to have extra stories and content that's canon in there. It's just going to be really great to kind of go along with it. And that's on the 28th. So I know they have some little pre-order things. You get little figures and extra crap like that. But it's been a while since I played a Star Wars Lego game, and I'm really kind of hyped about that.
Speaking of Legos, there was a bombshell with the Legos Dimension game. Now, I'm not too familiar with Lego Dimensions. It seems like kind of like a Skylanders, Disney Infinity like type of thing for Legos. And they released a trailer that was really interesting. And let me tell you, man, I should have linked you this trailer for you to watch it, because Lego Dimensions mixes so many universes into one. Like Batman, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo. I mean, there was a part where it had, Tom
Simpsons,
Cruise.
I think.
Yeah. There was a time that was like Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible dropping down and tickling Scooby's stomach, and he's going, Batman was like helping out Gandalf. It was just so freaking crazy. But the end of the trailer showed something I was like, holy crap. It shows Smeagol with the ring, and he's like, my precious. And all of a sudden, you hear this very familiar dash, and it's Sonic the Hedgehog taking the ring. So Sonic the Hedgehog is going to be on Lego Dimensions. And, man, I'm kind of stoked about it. I was like, you know what? If they were to make a Lego Sonic game, I would be okay with it.
I'd wonder about those Dimension sets, too, because they looked really cool. And I know I think like the startup kit is at least like 100 or so, and then it looks like it'd be really addictive, because the sets, like a Sonic, that's like even just a little set you could buy for the game. Like I would just buy that even though I don't have the game, because it looks like it would just be really addictive and expensive. That's like the biggest turn off to me about it. But it just, man, like they have Ghostbusters stuff, and you can, like, from what I understand, you can take like the Lego piece, and I guess it has something like an amiibo, and then you put it on something, and this thing you made with Legos, this car, will appear in the game.
That's so cool.
Just the fact that so many beloved franchises can all coexist together in that game is, Lego, like that's the thing that pulled that off. I mean, they've done. Man, it's something that we played with as kids, and it's still bigger than it ever was. They have awesome games, still have awesome toys, and I don't know, man, the Dimensions is really, really super cool. To me, that's cooler than, the Skylanders or the Infinity. It's kind of up there with Amiibo in the cool factor, and almost a little bit more with just the fact that, like, you can build these Lego sets.
It's more immersive. Yeah, it's more immersive, and that's the only thing that's been kind of turning me off about. I've been wanting to play it, but I got into the amiibos. I'm not into amiibos as much as I was, say, last year. There's still some that I buy, but I'm not as hardcore into it anymore. And it's almost like I don't, I don't want to like trade one addiction for another addiction, because this is something that I would probably get like really into, especially, with the different franchises and different universes. I'd be like, oh man, I'd love to play like a Doctor Who detective game with Batman. That would be awesome. And then they, jump on a hoverboard from Back from the Future. I don't know. It's just freaking crazy, but you got that. You have EA that we were just talking about. Of course, Ubisoft. They got Watch Dogs 2 that are talking about. I'm not a huge Ubisoft fan, of course, so I'm going to skip that real quick. I know some people are going to hate that, but also Bethesda. Bethesda last year was the first time they actually had their own conference, and it was a very big conference because that was, of course, when they introduced Fallout 4. They talked about that. They also talked about, Elder Scrolls Online. They talked about expansion for that. They seem like they're wanting to do something very big this year. Now, it has to be big because, they have a whole conference for it. I'm thinking, of course, we're going to see expansions for Fallout 4. Dishonored 2, maybe we'll actually see some footage from that. I mean, it's been talked about. We've seen trailers, but maybe we'll actually see some gameplay footage. And, of course, the rumor mill right now is either a remaster of Skyrim, because, this isn't anything new, because they actually used Skyrim for the Xbox and PS4 when they were testing out the console's abilities. They were using Skyrim as an example. So there's that rumor of Skyrim, and also possibly maybe a new Elder Scrolls 6, which I know I talked about this before on Facebook earlier this week. If I had to choose between the two, I would rather have a new Elder Scrolls. I know some people are really happy to have a remastered Skyrim. Me personally, I played enough Skyrim. I don't really care to play the HD remaster, even if it has mods on it. That's just not my cup of tea. I had my fun. That was like 5 years ago. But what were your thoughts about this, James? Didn't you play Skyrim?
That was the one I tried. Man, I tried.
Yeah.
Just it got way too overwhelming. All these quests, and it's just games like that are really tough for me. It's like I need to just focus on the main story, but just little things kept happening, and that was the one I went and traded it in and got Heavy Rain, and
oh, nice.
I had a much better time. But I know so many people love that game, and it does seem like it could be really awesome.
Yeah,
if I could get into it. And it was so big. It has been, like you said, it's been like 5-6 years. I mean, that's around the time. Well, I think that's. I'm not gonna hate on it for being like, another remaster. I was like, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So it's one I could definitely see. Some people are gonna be like you, like, I don't know. Me, maybe I would. I probably won't, but it's like I could decide to try it again at some point and have that version, or get an older one that's cheaper. It is cool. I think it's time. I think most people, though, probably I would think would want a new one. But I've been hearing that lately with announcements of new and remasters with Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah,
I heard they're doing a remaster, and I looked because I'd actually played that. I've been playing that this week, and my last time I played it was in 2010, and I was like, wow, like it's been 6 years. So it's like they're gonna planning on a remaster of that and a sequel, which is. I love that game. It's a series. It's only had 2 in it, and it's one they definitely haven't abused or anything. But it's around that time we're going to see a few more of these remasters. It's just nice to see a bigger span of time. But hey, I'm happy for the people that love Skyrim, because I too have seen a lot of people that are super excited about it.
Now, one thing I will say about Skyrim that I could see if they were going to make an HD remaster, what would benefit some gamers, is when Skyrim came out, if you got it for the Xbox 360, you're okay. But if you got it for the PS3, it actually had a lot of bugs. The game was pretty much broken on the PS3, and it was because, Bethesda had problems programming it for that console. So if, you were someone in that generation that had Skyrim for the PS3, and say you put 40 hours into it and the game crashed, and you're just like, man, screw this game, I'm never going to play it ever again. This may be a way for you to give it a second chance, and plus you're playing it with, better graphics and, from the talks of it, maybe mods. With the whole remaster thing, I've talked about for 2 years now. I've went ahead and just threw my towel and be like, it's a thing. Remasters are a thing. We have so many remasters, and at one time I was upset about remasters. I'm like, this is we have more remasters than we had new games at one point for the current gen, for the Xbox One and PS4, and it was just so irritating to me. But at this point, it's just like, what can you do? And if people enjoy it, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like I said, especially it just seems like some come out a little bit quicker than they should. But if you hit the 5-6 year mark, that's a good chunk of time. And hey, if there's the demand for it, obviously people are buying them. So, a lot of people now, it's like you get the new console. A lot of people get rid of their old stuff. To us, it's very common to keep our things, and many, many people do. I mean, it's probably about half and half, if I had to guess. So a lot of people do get rid of their old stuff, and a lot of those people loved the games like that. And sometimes it's like, well, would you rather have a remaster, or maybe they have the online service and they put out the old one for, a semi decent price. And it's like, well, sometimes you might just rather go ahead and, get the whole new remaster thing, especially too if hopefully it might come out at like a little bit more of a budget price. I don't really know how those typically fall down price wise. I would probably expect full price, but if it came out cheaper, that's just an extra bonus.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it was like $40. That'd be really awesome. But what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna take a short break. We're done talking about E3 for now. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about topics submitted from our listeners via Facebook group page on Access Gaming Podcast. We're going to answer some of your guys' topics. And we're also going to be talking about games we've been playing recently and maybe some other random shenanigans. But anyway, guys, sit back, relax, and listen to this nice little ad I made for Pachinko World and a little bit of video game music, and we'll be right back.
Xander here, coming at you guys with something out of this world. I've played my share of arcade cabs and pinball machines, but recently I discovered something here in my town of Wilmington, North Carolina, Pachinko World. Come down to Pachinko World and discover this unique arcade experience. They have a wide array of machines to play on, from Gundam to even King Kong. Best of all, the prices are so fair, you'll want the whole family to join in. And hey, you might even catch me there. So check out Pachinko World at 5101 Donlea Court, Wilmington, North Carolina. Also be sure to check them out on Facebook, and for more info and updates, check out www.pachinkoworld.com. And as always, guys, happy gaming.
And we are back, guys, and that's right, I did a little ad just because it's a Wilmington business, Pachinko World. It was the first time I ever actually played Pachinko, and I know that's been, a heated topic with Konami. And I can honestly say, I like Pachinko. It's a lot of fun. I can see where some of the people get kind of mad that, Konami goes out and they're making, a Metal Gear Solid 3 remaster, but it's going to be on a Pachinko machine. I can understand the hate on that, but it's a lot of fun. And if you live in the Wilmington, North Carolina area, please, by all means, check it out. The owner, Leo, he's a really cool guy. He's actually been involved a lot with the arcade community. He was doing some of the editing and did some of the work on Chasing Ghost off of Netflix. Great documentary. And he's a really cool guy.
That one was awesome. Like if you've seen King of Kong, the Fistful of Quarters, definitely need to watch Chasing Ghosts. From what I understand, they were both filmed pretty much around the same time.
Yeah,
very great companion pieces to each other.
Definitely. Now, what we did is we did something a little new for this episode, and this is something that we might do for other episodes as well, where we asked the listeners what topics they would like us to cover. And we got a couple of questions. We got some multiple questions from Bill Bush, a.k.a. Reploid Bill. Great YouTuber. He's back making videos again. He was on a bit of a hiatus for a little bit, but he's back, and he always makes really great discussion videos. And, his I Collect videos are really good, where he talks about, various console he collects for. And I'm going to go through some of the questions because he asked, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He asked 6 questions. So I'm going to pick about 3 of them. And the first one he asked us I thought was really cool. He says, are reproduction carts a good or bad thing? Me personally, I like reproduction carts. I think it's a great way to, play some games that maybe never came overseas. Over here to North America, maybe they're harder to find games. The only thing about reproduction carts I want to make sure I put up is whoever makes the reproduction carts, make the label different. Make sure you put something on there that says it is a reproduction, because that is one thing that we have a problem with reproduction carts in the growing market of retro gaming. Is some people will sell, maybe a copy of Sculptor's Cut, and say, oh, this is legit, this is Sculptor's Cut, and you find out that it's actually reproduction. It's not a true Sculptor's Cut. So, or Little Samson or Flintstones or something like that. So yeah, that's what I think. What about you, James?
Yeah, there's a lot of the bad things that happen, it has to do with shady people do shady things. But on the plus side, yeah, super hard to find games. whether it's a game Sweet Home. There was a guy doing repros that did them really cool. The carts had different colors. It had like you get the blood splattered version. He did some really neat things. I love that idea, especially with the translated ones. Really expensive ones, like you said. If I don't mind if someone just wants to have that cart, but it just goes along the line of do your research, and watch out too. Just making sure if you're looking for those, because I actually got a Sculptor's Cut was on the Retro League. They do a little segment of their show called Caveat Gamer, where they find just really horrible deals. And a guy had a Sculptor's Cut on there, and it didn't say anything until you went looking, under the comments, and then he mentioned how it was like a reproduction cart, reproduction label. I think he had a reproduction board. I don't know. And he was selling the thing for like 200 something bucks. So that there's some bad things, but like I said, on the good note, I wouldn't even, like repros if they had a different colored, just cartridge. That's what I love. I have a little stack of Famicom games. And also, I saw my brother EJ his Famicom games because he has a lot. And I saw a picture he sent me. I was like, dude, that just looks so cool. It looks like miscolored Legos, like all sitting together. So I like the different colored cards. I like it when there's something extra, like instead of blood splatter, even like it's a type of different label. But just as long as it's known and stated what it is, and it's not some kind of ridiculous price, I think that can be really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've debated myself if I wanted to get a Dracula X reproduction cart for my SNES collection. I've been debating on it just because it's so expensive. And, if I find it out in the wild for a good price, of course I'll get it. But, if I can spend, $40 and get a reproduction cart and just play it on my Super Nintendo, that's fine with me too. It's all about your prerogative on how you collect, but
that's one that I think would be pretty cool in like red.
Yeah.
Trying to like on a red cart.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Now, also, he asks us, why is there not a Netflix type of stream service for retro games of the SNES and back? Also, should a service ever be made? Would it feature translations of games we never got here? This is a good question. If Nintendo did something like this with their Virtual Console, where they were like, hey, you pay, $20 or not $20, that'd be kind of high, but you pay something like, say, $10 a month. You pay $10 a month and you have access to the whole NES, Super NES library. That would be awesome.
I think even if they had or maybe even if they didn't give you everything, say it was maybe they had a thing where $20 you could play everything, and for $10 you get a very healthy rotating amount of things, so it's like the cheaper one, and you have something different though every month, it would change. But I think it comes down to with the money, because if you buy a couple of Virtual Console games, you would have spent the $10, and they probably figure more people are doing that, where I think overall you'd have a more steady stream, because a lot of people would jump on that. I've heard a lot of people talk about wanting something like that. It's kind of like we thought some of the things like Sony was going to do, like, are they going to have, these games streaming on a month? It just always seems to, like, individual downloads just seem more the way to go. And, if they did do it, I think translated games coming over would be great. There's a lot of really good translations. They could easily get up with some people who have already done them. I think some companies have done that before in the past with certain games, from the fans, because who knows it more than the fan, and especially the good ones that really take the time to make sure it's done well, and have that come over and then have it translated out, which is, man, it's just too awesome to be true. That's why it's not around.
Yeah, and he also asked, what are some games of your childhood that you swear were awesome till you play them again as an adult? There's some games I can't really remember off the top of my head, but there are some games that, I played as a kid that I really enjoyed that I play now, and I'm like, man, this game doesn't hold up as well. A lot of games I see in that flair would be maybe like early PlayStation 1 games, or, some N64 games. They just haven't aged well, but overall they're still kind of fun. that makes any sense.
Yeah, caveman games on the
Oh
NES.
yeah, oh
That
yeah.
was one, man, me and my friend, I have a lot of games from my past. I just remember me and him playing a lot, and we loved caveman games. And it's still kind of funny now, but it's pretty brutal, along with a lot of those kind of Olympic style games, world class track meet. That's another one I used to really love. And it's like, man, like I played this that much. Dirty Harry. It's just a weird game to come out on the NES. It was one I don't remember being great. It always seemed like it could have been like a LJN game, and I don't think it was though, even though it was a movie title. But it was always kind of tough, but I liked it, and it's just straight butt like now. But on a reverse, Mickey Mousecapade, one of the earlier games I ever rented. I've probably talked many times about hating it so much, and I'd got a copy. My brother had an extra. He got it on Famicom or something, and I was like, cool. I need something to break with a bat. That'll be fun. And, and I was like, nah, man. I was like, I'll take it. I'm gonna check it out. And I actually popped it in, and you know what? It was not nearly as horrible as I remembered it being. And I was like, I can't believe this. I'm kind of semi having fun playing this game. So there's lots of ones, but it's much better when you play one that you thought was bad and it ends up being really good. Roller Games, that's another one. It's a TV show about people. What's that stuff called? Roller derby. And they'd roll around the pit, and they had a ramp, and it used to come on late on Saturday night, and they had a video game. It's kind of a beat 'em up, and it's also one, in reverse. I had fun with it as a kid, but it's actually still pretty good. But it was by Konami or Ultra, so most of those hold up pretty good.
All right, and he also asked, this is a big one right here. He says, how do you feel about remakes? And for that matter, do you believe that games and movies should fall under the category of artwork? If so, then doesn't that warrant the games and movies in general should not be remade? Would you repaint the Mona Lisa in a modern image and replace the original work in a museum? For that matter, where do you believe remakes have value, and where do you believe that they fail? This is a pretty good topic. I like remakes. I believe that remakes and the original are two different entities. That's how I always looked at it. That's how I look at movies. That's how I look at games. And, if there's a way that I can still enjoy the original, then it doesn't bother me as much. Sometimes remakes can also be a good thing, because I think you can agree with this, James. The big thing that everyone's been talking about with remakes anyway is the new Ghostbusters movie. And I'm not going to get into the whole debacle with that, but one of the good things about the remake of Ghostbusters is it's brought back a lot of the old stuff as well, like some of the old toys. Of course, the Echo Cooler High Seat has been, people have been paying up the wazoo for online. Guys, don't pay those scalping prices. They will be in stores soon enough, or you can go on Amazon Prime and get a whole case for like $7.
I've seen well, I haven't seen them in the stores here, but one of my friends had got a hold of some of the juice boxes.
Oh yeah?
I didn't even know they were making those, but yeah, they got the old school high C juice boxes, so those are apparently out too. So it's around, yeah. Don't pay the prices.
So the way I look at it, remakes are a great way to preserve the original content as well, because like I said, you got the old toys coming out, and if you have a niece or nephew, or you have kids, or maybe little cousins, and you want to introduce them to stuff in your childhood, you got to look at it this way. Either these remakes help bring out the old stuff, like the old movies, the old toys, because I went to Toys R Us. They have the old Ninja Turtles toys are back, the old Transformers are back, old Ghostbusters are back, old freaking Power Rangers are back, and this is all because of reboots and remakes. You can either have that and buy those toys at reasonable prices, even though I still feel like they're expensive as hell. I'm like, man, they're $10 for an action figure. It's crazy. Or you can pay the ridiculous amount of prices online from collectors, because let's face it, if you want to get your kid or cousin or anyone like that a Technodrome with all the parts to it, the original is going to be substantially a lot more on eBay than it would be at Toys R Us right now.
Yeah. So it's great for everybody. It's great for kids. It's great for us, because a lot of times there's toys. And I didn't have the Technodrome, as a kid. A lot of those bigger, higher priced ones, nope, ain't happening. And it's too much to get the original now. So if I could get a nice reproduction of a sense,
Yeah,
I'm going for that. It can be. It's one of the things like the repro carts almost, where it's like you can have some maybe plus and minuses. I think it's mostly pluses. Games, you look at Resident Evil. I mean, honestly, as much as I love the first one, if I'm going to go back and play part one, I'm not going to play the PS1 version.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the remake. Mario Brothers 2. You look at that and like Mario Advance. What a really cool, remake in a sense. It's same game with lots of added bonuses. It's super fun, and that's the case where I could play either one of those. I could play original Mario 2. I could play Mario Advance. Games can be considered works of art, but there's also lots of cheaper versions of the Mona Lisa prints that you can get, and while they won't go in a museum, they're a lot more affordable, and it allows more people to appreciate them in a sense. It goes like that with the toys and stuff. Maybe you can't afford the old ones. It gives you a chance to be able to afford it. So I really I can understand some people's views on it, but I really like to look at more of the plus sides, and it seems just like better. It gives games a rebirth, gives new generations, games, toys, anything. It gives people a new chance to appreciate these things they might not otherwise have a chance to.
And it really is. I don't want to sound weird saying this, but you start to see things in a different light when you introduce it to kids. When you show a niece or nephew. In my case, like when I show my nephews Power Rangers and they get happy about it and they think it's awesome, I don't have that elitism that gate guarding, this is my childhood kind of thing. It totally changes. It's no longer just my childhood. It's my childhood, but it's also memories that are being infused in my nephews. And that is, to me, that is one of the best feelings ever. That is so freaking awesome when, my nephews are all about Ninja Turtles. And, if it wasn't for the remakes and the reboots, it would just be things of the past. So I think remakes and remasters and stuff definitely have their place. Now, the next question we got was from Josh Bro, who says, hopefully I have a good one. What are your thoughts on these online-only games that require a paid subscription, like Overwatch, Destiny, etc., not having any trial subscription coming with the game? For example, should every new game come with a 14-day or 1-month subscription trial to a PlayStation Plus so the users get everything in the purchase to play the game? That's a good question. I know a lot of MMOs, like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14. A lot of those games, when you get them brand new, they do come with trials. I know Overwatch and Destiny, those are online-only games. Titanfall was an online-only game. And some of those do come with, subscriptions, like, a trial subscription. But I don't see why not. Why can't they just start in a little code? It could help boost the sales of the game as well.
You could at least see what everything there is to offer and give you a chance to see if it's worth investing a bit more in that yourself. Online only games is something, I'm never going to say never, but it's probably not anything I'll ever play. But a lot of people do. And I think, they should be given a chance to, like I said, see what all is available on the game. Just a little code, whether, it's a month or even, a week. Just something to give people a chance to see what's out there and what this game is all about and to fully be able to appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I haven't played Overwatch. I know a lot of people have been really jazzing about it, and of course, Destiny has its ups and downs. But yeah, I'm not a big online player either. So it really helps if a new game comes out and I don't have that subscription service, that they kind of give me a free trial. But then again, I mean, most people have PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live now anyway. But yeah, I think it should come with a trial. Definitely. That's a go. Also, Dom, Cooler Dom from YouTube, good friend of mine, he says, are the naysayers correct in saying E3 is dead, or is it only getting better? That's a good question. I don't think E3 is what it used to be. And I don't mean that as in content-wise. I mean that as in media-wise. Back in the day, E3 was our go-to for video game magazines and stuff like knowing the now of what's going on with gaming. Now we have it, 24/7. We have, sites, podcasters, YouTubers, bloggers. It's a endless swarm of, media knowledge that E3, while we're always stoked about it, it doesn't have the same spirit as it did, say, back in like 1999.
I'm with you. Like, that's the first thing I thought of when you mentioned magazines. That was the thing, man. You go get that magazine with the E3 coverage, and now it's like you can get minute by minute updates. It's still always cool, but just overall, it doesn't have that super big feel. I think it's gonna stick around for a while, but I mean, I think as years go on, it probably would slim down. Be weird to think of it not happening.
Yeah.
I think if anything, it would be some form where it just they shrink and there's something going on, but it's not nearly as big. But while it's here, I just try to appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of media, I mean, you can go on Twitter now. There's people that are on the media floor that are, constantly tweeting what's going on. So, I mean, you can get it in real time, get notifications on your cell phone or your computer. So, yeah, it's not what it used to be. I still get excited about it because there's still surprises. Like last year's E3, like I said, was like God tier. I wasn't expecting, Shenmue 3 or Final Fantasy 7 Remake or Nier 2 or, Last Guardian. I wasn't expecting stuff like that, and when that came out, I was like, man, this is why I love E3. So, yeah, definitely, guys. I definitely want to thank all of you who submitted questions for the topic of this segment. And remember, if you're not a part of the Facebook group page, just look us up on Facebook. It's Excess Gaming Podcast. It's a group page, and I always encourage the members of the page, if you guys have a YouTube channel, or if you have a blog or anything like that has to do with gaming or anime or anything like that, be sure to share it on the page. It's not just about Excess Gaming. It's more of a community thing, because that's what Excess Gaming Podcast is. We're a lot more of a community show than we are just, it's just me and James. Just me and James only. We like to spread out and, have guests and stuff like that. So definitely check that out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to end this episode with our last little segment, and that's going to be games we've been playing recently and maybe some other randomness. So, James, I'm going to pass it over to you, because I just remembered you have a little birthday you wanted to mention.
Yes, actually, yesterday, and I noticed this, I'll give a shout out to someone had posted over on the Retro Junkies page that yesterday, June 11th, is the 15th year birth anniversary. Yeah, it's the 15th anniversary of the Game Boy Advance. Came out in 2001, and I remember getting one of these the day it came out. I had a friend, I think we'd pre-ordered them. I had a friend that worked up there, and he'd let us know, they'd come in, went up there, and I'd gotten Castlevania Circle of the Moon, Fire Pro Wrestling, and then I think my other friend, I think he also got Circle of the Moon, and I think he got maybe, I'm assuming Mario Advance might have launched with that. I can't remember for sure. But, we each got one of the same game and a different one, so we could check out a few different things. And, man, it was really awesome. Then, looking back after we've had the upgrades with the SP, it's hard to beat that backlit screen. I don't really know why the GBA did not have a backlit screen. It's just really kind of tough to go back and play it now, but I love its shape, the design. If they had a GBA that was with the backlit screen, but it was the original style, I would really like that. And I'm sure
Oh yeah.
some people have modded them to come up like that. But man, I was just thinking, I saw a question over there on the same guy that posted that up was asking about some people's favorite GBA games. And, I was just thinking in my head, like, so many great ones, that Drill Dozer, Astro Boy, which I know you'd played not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
Just an awesome game. The Castlevanias, Harmony of Dissonance, particular favorite of mine. Pinball of the Dead, the Mario, how they had all those come out, especially the Mario Advance or the 2, how they had switched things up. Just, man, Metroid, Fusion, Zero.
Yeah, it was a portable Super Nintendo as well. I mean, it was a 32-bit console, a handheld, I should say. And I mean, like, the games, taken from the Game Boy Color to the Game Boy Advance was just such a huge step. I mean, the games looked amazing, and you had, ports of, the Mario Advance games like you were mentioning, but they also had the port of Super Mario World and Mario 3, and, they had, like, the original Castlevania. They had
that whole series, yeah.
Yeah.
Zelda's, Castlevania, Metroid, a lot of the black box titles.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Really had different, and you get there's a game Blackthorn that had come out.
Oh yeah,
the Super NES. It was a lot it's like a violent Prince of Persia with like a shotgun. Really cool. And I had not played that game much till I got a copy on the GBA, and I was like, man, this is really cool. And it was just an odd game, I think, to have kind of like a redo of. But you really had so many. You had a lot of Gunstar Heroes. It had another version, Guardian Heroes. A lot of these games that were exclusive to exclusive to Sega consoles. Got a lot of new versions of those. Just so many, and Drill Dozer is one. It's at the top of my list. I don't know if you've ever played that one, Xander, but
oh yeah,
it's okay. Yeah, it just reminds me of Mega Man and Mr. Driller. It's so good. I don't know if I think Brownie Brown might have done that one. I think it was some Treasure people that worked on that team, but just man, an amazing handheld that hung on. Well, we got some different versions, and it had that backwards compatibility too, as far as playing the original Game Boy games on there, which at that time, some people, I know I didn't have my Game Boy anymore, and it was really cool to be able to play those games again. That was really the first system, you think, not counting a Game Boy Color that would play originals, but the first Nintendo system that had like the backwards compatibility.
Yeah, and that was actually the introduction of Sonic on Nintendo console with Sonic Advance.
Oh, really?
That was the first Nintendo console he was on the Game Boy Advance, and I never forget, man, seeing that cover of Nintendo Power and seeing Sonic on the cover. How weird that was. That was so weird, man.
Oh, yeah, so it's something. If it's like 15 years, it almost seems like it's been longer. It kind of feels good that it's not been that long, because sometimes you look, it's like, man, that was 20 years ago. Like, oh, it's like 15. Okay.
Yeah, there's so many times we look at games and we're like, oh my gosh, it's 30 years old. It's like Dragon Quest recently turned 30 years old. I'm like, holy crap. And then I was thinking about, I played Dragon Warrior on the NES. Wow, I played that like 25 years ago. It's like, wow, holy shit. But yeah, this goes in a good segue of games I've been playing recently, because actually I've been playing a lot of Game Boy Advance and DS games.
Because you're on the road, right?
Yeah, I've been on the road, and I've been playing a lot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game on the GBA.
Are you playing that one that's just called, is that one that's supposed to be really good? That's kind of like a beat 'em up? I think it's just TMNT maybe?
Yeah, it's the one that's based off the 2007 CG movie. And yeah, it's a beat 'em up, and oh dude, it's like Ninja Turtles meets River City Ransom. Because
I've heard nothing but good things about this game. It's different, everybody, than the ones that came out on the consoles. Completely different game.
Yeah, it's not the same as like Turtles in Time, but it's in that vein. But the reason why I say it's a lot like River City Ransom is because, when you defeat enemies, you get coins, you get money. And then, in between levels, you actually go to stores and you can actually upgrade your attacks, upgrade your health. So it's got that River City Ransom, action RPG kind of element that we saw in, River City, and we also saw it in Scott Pilgrim. I actually felt a lot like I was playing a Scott Pilgrim game, maybe because of the animation. The animation was very Scott Pilgrim-ish, but with Ninja Turtles. And yeah, man, that is a game, especially with the last Turtles game that came out, and everyone's been lackluster about it, saying that it's not that great. And some people are like, man, we just can't have, any more good Ninja Turtle games after Turtles in Time. I'm like, dude, TMNT on the GBA. I'm not sure how much is going for because I was playing on an emulator.
It's not horrible because I looked it up recently. I want to say it's around like $10 range or less.
Oh, that's worth it. That is totally worth it. No, I've been playing that. Also on the DS, I've been playing Batman Brave and the Bold.
Yeah. That's on the DS.
Oh, dude, and it's so good.
Isn't it? I have the Wii version. It's awesome.
On the DS version, it's kind of cool because, you got the bottom touchscreen, and it has, like, the different superheroes that you play with. So, you're sitting there playing it as, Batman, and you're doing the wall jumps and the combos and stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, man, I need to get a platform to jump on here. I can't use my grapple hook. So you touch Green Lantern, and he appears, and you use his little ring to make a box, and so it's got a little bit of puzzle elements to it as well, and that's been a lot of fun. Also, I played Princess Peach on the DS. I played that for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I bought that one when it came out, man. I really like that one.
I liked it. It was just a little too easy for me. Like, way too easy. Like, it made Kirby look like Dark Souls. I was just like, man, I just felt like I could go through the whole game without doing anything. I could just go from point A to point B. But I love the music. I love the animation. I thought it was just, classic Nintendo charm. It was a lot of fun. And let's see, I think I've been playing something else. I played TMNT. I think that might be it. I think that's because I haven't been playing a whole lot because I had been on the road. But I played a Bullet Hell on the DS. And this is actually a Japanese title, but of course the DS is region free. I've been playing, it's called Katsui Death Lab, if I'm saying that right. It's a bullet hell. It's put out by Cave. It's a cave shooter. It's just completely insane. And surprisingly, with it being on a small handheld, it doesn't have a whole lot of slowdown. So if you guys can get a chance to play it on emulation or get a cheap copy online, you can play it on your original DS, and there's not a whole lot of text at all. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You're a spaceship and you blow things up. Oh yeah, and I played Contra 4. I forgot. Played that on the DS. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's man, it's so hard. That's the one you can unlock the NES Contra and Super C.
Yeah.
And I never could. I just could not. I love it, but damn, that game is tough. But I hold it up there with the original Contras, Contra 3. I was a big fan of the Contra Force on the Wii Shop. But this one, the one on the Wii is a little bit easier. But this one, man, it's Contra
brutal.
Balls hard. I don't think there's any 30-man code. I don't know. It's great, but it's so hard.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm probably playing that more this week when I go out of town. Definitely. I will say, man, when you have to live on the road, you appreciate those handheld games so much. You're just like, man, I like handheld gaming.
Oh yeah, they're small and everything's just good. Take it on there. Got it ready to go.
But what about you, James? What have you been playing?
Still been, I've been on the 64 kick a lot, and I'm actually I recently hit like 98 games on there.
Wow.
And I've been there's one at the store here, one of the cruising games, Exotica. I'm planning on picking that up, and then I'll be at 100, and I might get something a little bit more special for the 100th game. Find something maybe I really want, maybe cost a little bit more. Hello, kitty. And then or I might just buy something really cheap. I never know for sure. It kind of depends on how it goes. But I played Superman 64. Wow, there's not really a whole lot to say about that.
I figured out what your 100th game should be on the N64. Actually, never mind. I think I was only on PlayStation. I was to say Bugsy. Bubsy 3D.
Yeah.
That should be like your 100th game. You're like, it's over. I have all the games I need now.
I'm done. I'm sure there's some horrible mascot game I could get, but man, the Superman is just a bunch of flying through rings, and I can't get past it. And I don't think it changes. So yeah, no, that one's not. That one's bad. But I got Donkey Kong 64. I had never played that one, and actually been rather enjoying that. Saw it here at the store, nice big bright yellow cart. And thinking of the Donkey Kong game, I was looking at random 64 items on like Amazon, and I saw this Donkey Kong controller that makes a 64
the banana
controller look like bananas.
That is so awesome. I love that controller.
It's like $100.
Oh, I just almost spit my freaking drink everywhere when you said that. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was telling my brother about it. I was like, yes, he was like 100. He's like, you're not thinking of getting that, are you? I'm like, God, no, dude. I'm like, you know how many games I could get for $100? So like, many of these are so cheap.
It's like, do you know me? I like buying dollar games.
Yeah, like, I'm super cheap. There's not many controllers I would pay that much for. There's a couple. There's this one that came with the Nintendo Sharp TV, the TV that has the Nintendo built into it, and they have these black NES controllers. And sometimes you can find those, like just the controllers by themselves. Oh, nice. And that's one I wouldn't spend like $100, but and that's probably what they cost now. But plus, too, man, when you get a controller and you can't actually play it, you never know if it's like worn out or if it's good or bad. So, especially 64s, could have a little wonky thumbstick on there. But I picked up a NHL Fast Break '98, and it was pretty. It seemed like a pretty okay sports game because I'm snagging a lot of these dollar sports titles just because I'm working on just getting all the 64 games slowly but surely. There's no rush, and there's a plethora of sports games, lots of racers too. I have Top Gear 1, 2, and a Top Gear like bike game. And those are all pretty decent. The bike one was pretty fun. Top Gear 2 is pretty good. Beetle Adventure is still, oh, dude. Man, that one's like the top 64. I've had so much fun with that one. Playing more fighters. The thing that kind of started my 64 kick was like, I'm going to get all the fighting games on the 64. Why? I don't really know. I just decided to do it, and that was kind of the kickoff. But I played some Dual Heroes. And I played Biofreaks, and
I love Biofreaks.
I can't really remember which one was which, but one of them you could cut off people's arms. Maybe that's Biofreaks.
Yeah, it's Biofreaks. That game was like so violent.
Rather fun though. I mean, not like good by any means, but just fun. You could fly around, just kind of tough. And then I think I found what I believe is the second best fighting game on the 64, with Fighter's Destiny. 1 and 2 being the top. It's a game called Deadly Arts. It's put out by Konami. Pretty simple. It only has a punch and a kick button, but I like it has some background things like tombstones. I think you can pick some of the items up or use them. I know I threw somebody on a tombstone and it broke, and I'm a big fan back from Street Fighter 2 where you throw people through the signs and the crates, and I love destructible background items. But once again, it's not great by any means. And saying it's the second best fighter on 64, not really saying a whole lot. Fighter's Destiny is the one to stick with. I actually genuinely love that game, and I put up a picture on the XS page a while back, and I saw quite a few people comment on that. And I thought that was cool that other people other than me appreciated that game. Played a little bit of Silent Hill on the Wii. I think it's the Shattered Memories.
Oh yeah, how is that? I know it's weird because you can't really attack in that game.
And I kind of like that. A friend of mine had recommended it to me, and I was like, man, I don't really know if I want to just run and hide the whole time. But playing it, the segments where things chase you are only in certain areas. You can walk around town and nothing's there. You go in certain buildings, and that's when it starts. And it's pretty tense, and you just run away. It's like, well, I don't have to try to stop and fight it. It's like, I just know I'm either going to get away or I'm going to die. and it actually worked out pretty good. They kind of redid Silent Hill. It's based off of that one, and they kind of changed some things, and they have a psychiatrist you go visit, and I guess they analyze you as you play the game, which that's kind of weird. So I guess they'll tell you if you're crazy or not. But very cool. It's one that's not expensive now, and I think if you like Silent Hill, man, it's definitely worth checking out. Good exclusive Wii title to have. And probably the most of what I played lately, hearing about Red Dead Redemption, the remake and part 2 coming out, I decided to go back to Red Dead Redemption. It's been 6 years, like I said, with my old save from 2010. I think I just stopped at some point. I don't know if I got, overwhelmed with side missions, or I was just like, I'm going to go and just focus on what I got to go on. And I love old Italian Westerns, Clint Eastwood, Red Dead Revolver, the first one. And I kind of wonder if that's a game maybe some people missed. A lot of people might have played Redemption. Revolver is one. It's a lot more linear, and there's none of the side missions and things. But it's just
it's more of an action game than like a sandbox.
Yeah, it's not sandbox. It's just straight on. But it's very cool. I actually beat that game. I'm proud of that. That doesn't happen a whole lot. But lots of things from old Italian westerns, like Django, not the Tarantino, but the original western. There was a guy who dragged a coffin around, and in the Red Dead series, they take a lot of these little homages from the old films and put them in there. But just people call it Grand Theft Auto Horse or Grand Theft Auto Equestria. It's just a great title, and I've really been having a blast going back, and it's also making me want to go and watch some westerns too. So I think today I'm gonna play a little bit more Red Dead and maybe watch some good old Clint Eastwood.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been a very, like I said, it's been a very busy week.
One other thing too, I did want to mention. I've got some new TurboGrafx games, and
that's right.
My brother's transferring his games over to all PC Engine, so he sent me a lot of these. Which actually, some of them he had, I bought from him. I actually gave him some back at one point. Now I have them back again. It's weird, but Airzonk, that was the last one I wanted to mention.
Oh yeah,
it's one of the little bit more pricey turbo games. I'd always heard about it, never played it. It's supposed to be like related to Bonk, but it's a shooter. Wait, is that the right term? I'm thinking a shooter. What are those?
Yeah,
it's all shoot 'em up. I don't know.
Yeah, shmups.
A shmup. But just really cool. You're like a little Bonk looking dude, and the power ups like change your form. You get lots of little like sub weapons shooting off the side, and just really, one of the most enjoyable shoot 'em ups like I've sat and played in a long time. And I know the Turbo is filled with many of those, but Airzonk is great. I definitely recommend people play an emulator of something of that if you can get it on Wii Shop. I don't know, but it's a damn good game.
Yeah, definitely. It's been such a busy week, and next week's going to be even busier for me. I did want to go ahead and tell some of the listeners of course, the YouTube channel, youtube.com/XanderSkullion. I did not film this weekend. This is the first weekend in 4 years I haven't filmed a video.
Lazy.
I know. It was weird. It was really weird because I kept telling myself, man, I need to get in front of the camera. But thing is, I was just tired. I'm like, man, I need to just rest a little bit. But what I'm going to be doing is, even though I'll be out of town next week, I will have my laptop with me. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be covering E3 next week, or this week coming up, starting Monday. I'll be covering E3. I got my laptop. I record with my cell phone anyway with my iPhone, because it shoots in full HD, and I also have a selfie stick. So I'll be using my selfie stick. I'll go outside and talk about E3, and just keep up to date with that. So there won't be as high quality editing wise. I'm not going to do as much. It's just going to be just there for me to talk about it. And of course, the newest episode of Excess Gaming that we're recording right now will also be on YouTube as well. I'm still debating if we're going to stay on Podomatic or not, just because I've been having some issues with that site, this memory wise, because we only get a certain amount of storage. And once that storage gets too high, then they want us to delete episodes. And when you delete episodes, then it disappears from iTunes. So I'm expecting a little reboot of Excess Gaming Podcasts, finding wise. I don't know if it's just going to be on YouTube from now on, or if we're going to do Podomatic and iTunes and all that stuff. But either way, you can check us out on Podomatic, or you can check us out on YouTube. And on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Xander Skullion, I do have a playlist of Excess Gaming Podcasts, so you can find the episodes through the playlist. But yeah, man, I'm curious to see, when we come back for episode 88 in the next 2 weeks, what we're going to be talking about with E3, because this week coming up is going to be E3. But yeah, man, I'm really stoked.
Should be pretty cool.
Definitely. We're going to close this episode, guys. And as always, I want to thank for everyone listening. And I definitely want to thank, Bill Bush, Dom, Cooler Stuff, and Josh Bro. I want to thank all of you guys for sending in your questions to the Excess Game Podcast group page on Facebook. Definitely. Thank you guys. And as always, thanks for listening, and happy gaming.
Have a pleasant evening, everybody.
Can't get enough of Excess Gaming Podcast? Be sure to check out our audio podcast on Podomatic.com. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes. And if you have a YouTube channel or podcast you'd like to share, be sure to check us out on Facebook on our group page and join the community. As always, guys, thank you so much for all the support, and happy gaming.